So here we are on the Conscious Core with Kriti Shastri, and I'm your host today. And definitely, I'm be nurturing you about certain questions about startup. The theme today is about startup. We'll be meeting an extraordinary person who, at the age of 50, also is planning to begin, new businesses, help ventures out with his own initiative. So we'll be discussing about it. So the Conscious Core podcast is basically about people who are beginning their lives at any point of time and still they are loving it because there is no end to learning, what I believe is. So with no end to learning and growing, let's begin with the today's show. I'll be introducing it to you to Anand ji, who is an organic farmer and he also mentors people in agriculture. He has great knowledge, exceptional knowledge in agriculture. So even if you want to know about the seaweeds and all these things, then also he has great knowledge about it. He is author of the book I Krishna, which is one of the most beautiful book I've ever read. It is about the human incarnation of Krishna altogether, and how he was reminiscing at his deathbed about his life, what he has done in his life. So that book is a must read for anyone who wants to see his life flashback while he's on his deathbed. So that is how people have seen that book. He's also partner of Spring Up Capital, micro venture capitalist firm. He's co-founder of Network.ai, a startup, and he's advisor, mentor, and investor himself in startups. So he has broken all the myths that you have a particular age to do anything. There's nothing like it. At the age of 50 also, he's starting new businesses. He's helping people out. So a very warm welcome to you, Anand ji, and I'm
Yeah,
glad that you are today there on the show with me.
yeah. Thank you, Kriti. Appreciate the invite. Yeah,
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And it was really, one of the things that, I was thinking about it was we all at this time of pandemic are talking about let's do something else also. We cannot survive on, one source of business right now. And so many people are coming up with their, startup ideas. So once they're coming up those startup ideas, what is your take on it? Please tell us.
I think it's about any idea which makes an impact uh, to the target segment for which it is intended to. Be it a social enterprise, be it a business enterprise, be it a tech enterprise, or in any sector, unless and until it makes a very large impact on the target audience, there should be a definite skill sets that are required right from scratch for startup founders to have, which will take the startup from zero to a certain level at a very fast pace. I mean, you do not have years and years of discovery to be made and wait for things to happen. Right? You have very limited capital, you got very limited time, and you got very limited market to begin with. Right? but
Right.
but it's just not that you have a large amount of talent in a particular sector, but also the knowledge of market access, right, to build a product which will need tech enablement and stuff like that. So it's all encompassing activity. It is not just
One thing.
a mere idea and, oh, I've got a talent to build this. It doesn't work that way.
You have to have knowledge about everything that you are planning to do with.
Yes.
So, okay.
Either you have, or you have team members who are diverse enough for you to provide that different set of skill sets. I mean, if there are three founders with same skill sets for running the company, then it wouldn't work.
Right. So that is one good thing that we have learned that, once you're planning to go for a startup, you should have, people who are the founding members in the company should always have, different skill set approach. If all are having the same skills, it might not actually work.
Yeah,
That's,
we've seen this. I mean, there are bunch of coders who'll sit down,
uh,
they'll code a product. All of
right.
them are coders, and they're exceptional people. There are no doubt about it. But once the product is out, they don't know what to do with it.
Exactly.
Because they do not know which customer to go to, which markets to address, the funding elements, the costing element, and all of those things put together make a company.
Hmm.
Uh, the startup business is not a new business. You think
Right.
about it, every company was a startup to begin with. Even Tata was a startup
To begin
uh,
with.
to begin with, right? Somebody,
Right.
that Jamshedji started it, and then he gathered people around, he put the investment in. Then once his investment was at a certain level, then he went up to the market, took the investment from the market, and then it's a legendary story, right? So every company has been a startup at some point of a time. It's just that they have managed to put all the pieces of puzzle together, and that makes a great company at any given point of a time.
Wow. Wow. Right. So, can you give us certain, clarity as to what a person should know before he's beginning for a startup or he's planning to go for a startup? What are the prerequisites that he should be knowing about?
The biggest drawback in any startup ecosystem is when you start a project merely on an idea,
Hmm.
right? Uh, it is fine as school project. It is fine as a intern project, or it is fine as anything else. But to start a real business, there are a lot of elements that you need to figure out, right? The biggest element is the funding part of element, right?
Right.
There is aspiration that somebody will come and put money in my company, the VCs will come,
Yes.
I'll be a unicorn at some point of a time and stuff like that. But
Yes.
the hard truth is the day you've started, the first day when you enter the office, and then you have to buy an asset, you have to have your, laptops and computers and stuff like that, which needs investment, right? You need to hire people, a little bit of team, small team, of course, which needs runway for investment. So as long as you are prepared for a long haul,
Right.
right, and you're prepared to go the length yourself to build and run a business,
Okay.
if you do not have that capability, then you're starting with a negative,
Okay.
right? Then the only option that you have at that point of a time is to go and run for investment, which may or may not happen. We all know 95% of companies do not get invested in.
Right.
Everybody is normally bootstrapped. So the
Yes.
level of bootstrap is very important.
Right.
That if your product will take 18 months to develop, for example,
Hmm.
right? You need to have minimum 2.5 years of runway. So you take
Right.
18 months to develop the product with your own money, and then you run the business for another year, till it reaches some kind of a level,
Right.
right? If your product is going to take 6 months for it to develop, you need to have minimum 18 months of runway for the company, right? If you
Okay.
have that, then I think money chases money, right?
Right.
There's some startup founder told me this story
Okay.
when we
I would
and I
love to
asked,
listen to that story.
yeah, when I talked about investment, he said, Anand, the more I go to market, the more disadvantage it's going to be, right?
Uh-huh.
I want to focus on building a brand and a product, and there will be a day when people will chase me for investment.
Right.
Good money chases, where whoever has invested it can take 10 times, 50 times, 100 times their money back, right? So why will somebody invest in an idea which is not going to give them that?
Yeah. Can you tell us something like what basically the investors look at when, they are planning to invest in some money? What is their mindset at that point of time?
Founders is the biggest uh, part of investment story.
Okay.
It would. I've invested purely because a founder has got on one side, he understands the market extremely well. He or they understand the market extremely well. Hence, they understand the whole product uh, cycle extremely well, right?
Okay.
What to build, what not to build, how deep should they get into a product, a building life cycle, how fast they want to get into market and do whatever they want to do, right? And their capability to understand the market penetration factors, right?
Right.
In a sense, they would be able to reach out to what kind of customers and how impactful that reach out is going to be, how fast they can build a portfolio of customers,
Okay.
how easy or difficult that is for them to build that portfolio of customers.
Okay.
That is something that one would look for in the investment cycle. You will not go to somebody who's built a brilliant product,
Mm-hmm.
but who would come and say, "Sorry, I do not know what to do with it."
Okay.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense, right?
Got it.
You'll always go to somebody who says, I know what I've built,
Huh.
I know where to go,
Right.
I know how to go, right? Yes, to go there, I need some investment, some fund, but provided that I know how to reach the goal.
Huh.
So if that is the confidence a founder brings in, then the investment becomes very easy.
Okay. Right. So it was great understanding this part of investments, although I'm purely not much into it, but it was a good thing. Can you give us, three golden advice that you have for startup that you think that, one should basically know before beginning up?
I think as a founder with the bootstrap mechanism, with issues in terms of how market perceives you from investment point of view, provides you investment. I think the basic tenet of a founder is if you are a go-to person in your domain,
Right.
right? As in you very deep understanding of you know the whole process and product life cycle,
Hmm.
the very deep understanding of where the product comes in and goes out, understanding of all the tech elements. You don't have to be, I mean, being a tech entrepreneur, it doesn't mean that you have to be a coder to do this, but understanding the business is extremely important. And every element of business, you have to go left, right, and center, up and down, all the elements of business. If you are the go-to person, right, that then you become a magnet for anybody to come and good people to come and join your team, investors to come and work with you, uh, as long as they understand that you know everything that has to be understood about the whole product and the service,
Mm-hmm.
then the life becomes very different when you encounter the different kinds of people, the investors, the advisors, and the market, the customers, everybody, right? If you have half knowledge about what you're doing
Mm-hmm.
and you're relying upon a lot of people to provide support to you, it doesn't help you
Right.
in many ways with investors or the customers. It doesn't help you.
Huh.
Right? And that is number one. Number two is ability to attract talent because you've got a great idea, right?
Yes.
You need the right people. Without right people, is this is not going to go anywhere.
Right.
Yeah. So you have to have self-driven, self-motivated, and most important part of the whole story is you need to have a multiple number of mini U's within the system,
Wow.
right? So
Right. I mean,
whatever
that's an
you,
eye opener. I never
yes,
thought this way that you have to have many U's in the place, and
absolutely,
they just think like you think, and take whatever you are.
absolutely.
Yeah.
There is no point in having a bunch of yes people working around you who just
Right.
rely upon you to,
Tell
uh, you know,
everything.
tell
Yeah,
everything, and
yeah.
then they will go and implement it. They will do a good job in implementing
Uh,
it. No,
but you
you
can't
need
micromanage, I think, things. I mean,
no,
you
no,
can't micromanage when you're
no.
building such a big thing.
No, not in the startup environment. Startup environment, there are probably four sections of work that are involved at any given point of a time. There are four different people doing their magic in four different directions
Right.
on their own. But then
Hmm.
things fall in place. If you are the one who's sitting on top, and then every day morning you need to take a class for everybody in terms of what is it today, what is today's job and stuff
Right.
like that. That is a traditional company. That is
Right.
how a big company is run. But in a startup environment, if there are four guys, five guys, everybody needs to be the entrepreneur there. Everybody needs to be the king of their domain,
Yeah, the
right?
best of what they know, basically.
Exactly. And they
Right.
do whatever they're best at, right?
Right.
And it all comes together. I mean, as long as you got one vision for the product in the company, it'll all fall in place, right?
Hmm. Right.
It's very important. All these four people who are pretty talented in their own right, they all have one vision for what they're doing,
Ah,
right? You cannot
yes.
have four people doing developing four different
Four
stuff.
different visions can't work.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah, and four different stuff in good way. They all know
Right.
what to do, but there are four different things, not one thing,
Right.
right? And you need to be an idea magnet.
Uh-huh.
it's very important. I mean,
Right.
it is not that you think that, oh, my idea is the best idea, or his or her idea is the best idea. One needs to be an idea magnet, as in, may the best idea win on the table. So
Right.
everybody, is involved. Everybody builds whatever they have to build in their mind,
Hmm.
and then all ideas are on table, and the best idea wins. It's as simple as that. The
Yes.
more you do this, the faster is the success for any company. It is not just startup. It happens in the it happens in big companies as well.
Right. So, I mean, that was an eye opener to us because, this, I think all the viewers will also get benefited out of the advices that you've given them, and they'll enjoy it for sure. And can you tell us one myth about a startup, a myth that people carry that startup for startups? Can you debunk that myth?
One of the biggest myths is a great idea will bring in great investment.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I got
Uh,
it.
a lot of people think about it. I mean, a lot of people assume and dream and try to work this. And I know a lot of startups with great ideas who have been in the market for 2, 3, 4 years and still struggling to do what they want to do. The ideas are great. They would have missed one or two parts. It is not just idea.
Yes,
There are
it's
there
the
are
execution.
there are 10 different things that it takes to build a company and a product. As long as you're not taken care of all those 10 things, the success is not going to be. I mean, look at all the successful stories. They were great idea guys. They had great talent, right? They had very hard focus on one or two things that they wanted to do.
Hmm.
They're not trying to do everything, right?
Hmm.
Then they knew exactly who the customer is going to be. They knew exactly how the customer is going to be managed, acquired, and run through. And there's going to be a time in the day when everything falls in place. Some
Hmm.
investor will come and say, oh, I think this is a great idea, and I think I want to invest in your company.
Right.
Yeah, because they see you holistically. They do not see you
So you,
as a
as
great
just an
coder.
idea person or just a coder or just a person who has
Yeah,
developed something.
absolutely.
Yeah. You have to be, I think it's almost like a 360-degree aspect. You have to know about the product. It's not
Yes,
just one thing, you have to know about the
yes,
entire thing.
yes.
So beginning from the product development stage to, I think, the marketing stage,
Everything,
everything
everything,
should be there.
everything.
So
Yeah,
okay.
including very hard-nosed attitude of stopping at some point of a time,
Okay.
right? In doing something. I mean, eternal development, develop for 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. That is not the way. I mean, you develop and go to market, then again develop and go to market, and then develop and go to market. The faster you make your monies, right? The faster you are self-sufficient, the better is the investment opportunity for you. People will look for companies who are able to manage their companies on their own books,
Okay.
right?
Right.
It is a golden rule of investment, right?
Hmm.
And of course, just not that, not
Hmm.
just be able to manage your company on your own books, but also the potential for you to be 10 times or 100 times over a period of time.
Right.
Those are the companies that investors will pick up very fast if they see you're able to manage today.
Right.
You even if you're not able to manage today, but there is a huge amount of potential for you to access, provided there is right investment in the company.
Ah.
Right. So these two become key criteria for any investor to look at.
So that's you've told us a lot about startup, and we've got a great knowledge right now about the startup. I would like to know about your corporate ladder journey, how you started. What I know is about the different industries that you worked with. You have experience of, I don't know how many industries, and maybe your researching skills are so good that whatever you get into it completely. So please tell us something about your own personal experience and your journey that you had in the corporate life.
I think the entire journey begins pretty early, actually. As in, I'm not even working, but still in school and college. The key attitude that I had right from beginning as a child was whatever I was doing, right? I would get involved in that completely,
Wow.
There is no question of any half job. There is no question of, let me try to do this. No, if I pick up something,
Yes.
and I would. I mean, I still remember I was in second standard in the school. We were all given a 10 by 10 plot
Wow.
for us to grow something and learn farming. And I think every school has to do this.
I
Uh,
totally vouch for the same. I mean, I second your opinion because I was brought up in a city life, and I don't think my school could afford giving me a 10 to 10 plot,
yeah,
to grow things. So I
yeah,
think,
yeah,
we should get back to our roots and plan. I'll maybe, learn all these things. India is
yeah,
known for a great agricultural country, and if we don't know
yeah,
the A of agriculture, probably we don't know much about the country.
yeah. So the whole point was I was thrown in the middle of things, and I said, "This is your plot, and you have to do stuff." Then you learn from scratch. So I grew bindi, I grew mooli, spinach, and methi, and coriander, whatever. And then we used to sit outside the school in the evening to sell.
Wow.
Right? And we had a bank account called Sanchayika from SBI.
Okay.
I still remember the name of the account, Sanchayika for kids, and
Acha.
we would
This
deposit.
was which year? Can you tell us?
This was 76, 1976,
Oh,
77.
why don't they have banks and accounts like this for us now?
Exactly, right. So the whole point was I would deposit 5 paisa in the account after I have sold those spinach or whatever it is. They would come to the school and collect cash from us, right? And I would deposit, and when they made the entry of 5 paisa in it, the pride that you get for seeing that 35 paisa going to 40 paisa in your account is immense,
It's
right?
immense, right?
Yeah, yeah. So the point here is, ever since I've started doing things, I mean, I have always been take it to the hilt kind of a guy, as in do not do half job, and that helped me a lot in every job that I took. I would know everything that I have to know about a product and industry, go beyond roles and responsibility. Even as a rookie, the first product that I took up as sales, I would knock down the whole product on my own if I had to, and build it again if I wanted to. So,
Wow.
uh, so, so the point here is one needs to be, as I said, the go-to person in whatever field you are in, right?
Yes.
Then you become a magnet. You do not have to go for interviews then, because people will
Yeah.
come and chase you.
Yeah. I
They'll come and
remember you sharing with me that, you were into the industry once, furniture industry. So you were knowing which nut and bolt that you have to put
absolutely.
and make a chair. I mean, it was like you're knowing in and out of the industry. There's nothing that you
Absolutely.
don't know
Absolutely.
about it.
Absolutely. It helps you to sell the product to customer. It helps you to make a justice
Right.
in dealing with the product. So first few years was all trying to discover it, trying to discover who am I as an individual, what strength do I have. It took 10 years for me to try and understand, but after 10 or 12 years working in one company, I really understood what my core strength is, where my mojo lies. My mojo lies in building
Yes.
stuff, right? Building stuff, and that I have chased for the last 15, 18 years, trying to build things, and I've been pretty successful in doing what I had to. I did take a oath in 1998, I guess,
Right.
with my friends, and I said by 45 I will leave corporate life and do something on my own,
Yes.
including farming. So I did leave corporate, not 45 but 46. Uh, of course, when I left, I had the farm ready. I got involved in farm, and I do things that I love. Every day. Every day is a new day for me. Every day is a new product. Every day is a new company that I deal with. There is no dull moment in life, right? In
Yeah.
that sense, and
That makes sense.
I get to learn a lot about different industries and different people.
Hmm. So, tell us something. What are you growing these days? I mean, since it's the, summer month. So, what are you growing these days
Right,
in the farm?
we do grow. We are a 100% organic farm.
Okay.
We've been organic, 100% organic for last 10 years. We do grow amazing Alfonso mangoes, which we sell to our own customer base.
Wow.
We do not go to market to do this. Then of course we grow our own vegetables and stuff like that, which is consumption for our own sake, but also we drop some in the market in some organic shops. It's important for us to work with organic components in today's world with all the things that are happening. It is very important for us to shed the chemical laden things that we eat and go
Especially in
back to
eating.
nature. Yeah, go back to nature in terms of what we want to do.
Yeah, because the kind of lifestyle we were having right 30 years back or 40 years back was quite, healthy. And right
Yeah,
now, I believe with as many things that we know about, as
yeah,
many as the culture that we see,
yeah,
packaged foods culture, everything that people talk about these days is about a packaged food. They don't
correct,
think about a food as raw, as fresh, that they come
correct.
and they eat it. I mean, the more healthier they are, I believe. So
Yes,
this is
yes,
one shift which has happened in last 30, 40 years, and you can say that it is a negative shift.
yes,
I mean, I would look at it that way, that it's a negative shift because you don't look for healthy stuff now. And probably at really late in your life, then you realize suddenly, okay, I need to be healthy now. So it's not
correct,
a time like, suddenly at the age of 40 or 55, you wake up when the doctor says, okay, knock knock, you're on the
correct,
last verge. That moment you think about it, you should
correct.
rather start thinking about it before even having your own children, I believe.
Absolutely, I do agree.
So that was one good thing. I have while we were having a conversation earlier, so I got to know about you as a person. I mean, you were doing farming at the age of 5. You were reading books a day at a time. One book at a. I mean, in a day. I mean, completely at the age of 8 to 9 years was not something I did. So I'm sure the kind of, and yes, of course, your grandfather was into writing and he used to write a lot. I mean, all those influences is what I think has what has
Yeah,
made you, what has made your
yeah,
core, basically, what I believe is.
yeah.
So so how was this, this journey of, coming back and again farming and doing other things?
There was a small plot behind my house in the township where we lived. Where my father converted that into a home garden where we grew a lot of stuff, right? And that experience, I still remember walking mornings and evenings in the plot trying to grow stuff. So that continued for a long period of time. But what was core to my upbringing was my father and mother are voracious readers. They used to read, absolutely read a lot. So there used to be books always at my home, and I finished them very fast. Went to library, finished the library books fast. Went to the town library and then finished that fast. By the time 8 9 years, I literally read everything that I had to read, and I used to do at least a book a day those days. And even my
Wow.
children have picked up the same habit. They read a lot. It gives an absolute a different view of the whole world, right?
Yes.
Your mind opens up. You have a lot of different ideas that you work with. You're not bound by your imagination is not is limitless in
Yes.
that sense,
Yes.
right? And that is a benefit.
Yes, and it is also said, once you've read a book and your mind has expanded after reading that book, it will never
Yeah.
come to the earlier position. It will
No,
never crunch
no,
back.
no,
So
no.
basically, you're expanding your knowledge and you're growing in that way.
Yes, yes,
So I think that is one thing. Please tell us then,
yeah,
how did the book I Krishna was, born?
yeah, yeah. uh, I always had thought of writing things. I mean, I did a lot of research on various things even before I began writing. uh, some were just fantasies and some were just things that I wanted to do. But then sitting under the tree in the farm one day, it was just I was trying to do research on interesting characters about whom I could write, and this thought absolutely fell in place. Right, it was just there. So I can tell you whatever the imagination that I had for the beginning of the book, first 2 or 3 pages, and the end of the book, they haven't changed even one word. So
Wow.
whatever I thought first is what has gone in. I haven't changed it. Of course, the middle there are a lot of change that happened. Then of course the character is very interesting. The whole storyline is very interesting. I think probably it is the most interesting character that one could think about in our times. Like
Right. Even in these
in
times, I believe
yeah
it is one such character which is there.
yeah
I mean, which
yeah
everyone looks up to for any kind of,
yeah
we of course, go into reading the Gita and the Bhagavad Gita.
yeah
I mean, that is
yeah
one source of inspiration. And
yes
people are working over it all over the world now on this.
yes yes right. So with that, the flash of the thought came, and it took time for me to build 2 years of research, and then another year and a half to finish the whole story. And by the time I finished it, it took close to 3 years for me to finish the whole um, story in that sense. But I have a lot of satisfaction with what has happened with the story and the direction it has taken. People say that it draws you in and it makes you feel as though you're part of the story. You're sitting right there in between, in middle of the plot, and then things are happening around you. So it gives me immense pleasure with the narrative style that I had taken in that book.
So I think basically I would ask every one of you, whoever so is listening, go get that book, go read it. You might just find a different perspective about life and how to live your life. It might change your thought process a little bit, and it might give you certain things that maybe these are the things that you should do in your life. You never know
Yeah,
what source of inspiration can come out of that book. So
yeah,
go ahead and read I Krishna. And with this I was uh, the entire conversation was such a wonderful conversation. It just flowed. I mean, it was so nice, and we learned about these startups. And we have learned a lot, that at the age of 50, Anand ji is doing so much. Then we are just too young, so we should never think of things like everything's gone wrong, things are falling apart in our life. And at this stage, especially during the pandemic, we feel a little a feeling of something that sinks in, that doesn't make you do anything. So let's just get motivated through his experience and his journey, because his journey has been immense and a very long, and I wish it continues long, because there would be a lot of people who will be benefiting out of his own journey, because that is what he believes in, advising, mentoring the startups. And it was lovely listening to you, sir, today.
thank you, thank you. Appreciate, appreciate. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.